Good evening, I'm Taylor Thomas with a CTV News Update. Governor Larry Hogan has signed the gas tax holiday legislation into law. The legislation suspends the 37 cents a gallon levy for 30 days. According to AAA, the average price for a gallon of regular gas in Maryland is $4.16 a gallon, which is 4 cents lower than yesterday. Motorists certainly welcome the gas tax holiday.
I think that they definitely should suspend the gas tax because there's no reason that we should be paying as much as we do. The way that inflation's set up, they're not paying people more to work, but they want us to commute farther or want us to go back to work, and it's, people doing remote and things like that. Me, I travel to some of my clients, and, it's just too much with the way traffic is set up and everything. So they should suspend the gas tax.
Looking at these prices, it will definitely help. Should help a lot of people, especially the ones that are going to work.
The hope is that station owners pass along the savings to consumers. Lawmakers concede they cannot mandate it. The Maryland Public Service Commission imposes a civil penalty of more than $1 million against Washington Gas. The utility was accused of failing to meet a number of commitments related to customer service. Following the merger with AltGas in 2018, the commission also penalized the utility for failing to timely file required reports with the PSC regarding its customer service performance. The original complaint was filed in September of 2021 by the Office of the People's Counsel.
Washington Gas knew they had an issue with staffing long before the pandemic started, and they had an opportunity to kind of shore up against that, and they didn't do so, which caused these kind of catastrophic changes in their customer service performance. So people were waiting, in excess of 3 hours to have their issues resolved. At certain points, over 70% of calls were being abandoned, so people couldn't even reach a customer service assistant. So we would expect maybe that there would be a little bump in their performance during the pandemic, but certainly not to the extent that we were seeing, so that we were receiving so many complaints from their customers.
Washington Gas must also include its monthly reports the percentage of emergency calls answered within 30 seconds, noting that emergency calls are the most serious customer service provided by gas utilities. The commission says that the company stats in that regard have been worsening since the merger. The state health secretary may lose the authority to appoint local health officers. That's under a measure proposed by Prince George's delegate Joseline Pena-Melnick. Her bill, HB 609, was debated on the House floor this morning. Hoping to restrict the measure, some delegates proposed amendments to limit health officers to 4-year terms.
It does nothing to solve the problems that the health officers have been dealing with and the communities have been dealing with health officers over the last couple of years. And I know health officers don't want to be political. They don't want to have to go out and run for office.
I think we all serve the pleasure of someone. We serve the pleasure of our constituents. This amendment is equivalent to a performance review. So every 4 years, when there's a new administration, they review the performance of the health officer. And if the performance is good, they get to stay. If the performance is not good, they don't get to stay. It is that simple. Presidents have term limits. Presidents, mayors, city councilmen, every single person is up for re-election, up for reappointment every 4 years or every however years. If we pass this bill without this amendment, we might as well just change his name or her name to Supreme County Health Officer, because the other person that does have a lifetime appointment are Supreme Court justices.
The proposed amendment failed, and Pena-Melnick's bill was moved to a third reading. Here are the latest COVID-19 numbers for our region. The Maryland Health Department has identified 430 new cases statewide. The positivity rate in Prince George's was 1.2%. 4 Marylanders have died of COVID since yesterday. 210 people remain hospitalized fighting the disease. You're watching CTV News. I'm Taylor Thomas. Back in a moment.
Hey you, stop and listen. This is a public service announcement with Dakari Chapman. Why should you know your Constitution, and why should you know your rights as a U.S. citizen? How would you like it if someone didn't allow your club to meet at your house? I wouldn't, because that's not cool. How would you like to be tried without a jury? I wouldn't, because that's not cool. These things are not cool. Learn your rights as a U.S. citizen so you know what to do in these situations. Thanks for listening, and remember, it's an American thing, so learn it.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, most of the recent bomb threats against historically black colleges and universities may have come from one individual. An FBI official told members of a congressional panel yesterday that the agency believes a single juvenile is responsible for most of the threats. The official says the investigation is being treated as a domestic terrorism and is the Bureau's top priority. This year alone, 36 HBCUs have been targeted with bomb threats, including Bowie, Morgan, and Coppin State Universities in Maryland. Maryland Park police officers are suspended after a colleague complains of racist text messages. A federal lawsuit filed Monday by Mark Miles quotes racist group texts sent over a 2-year period by his superior at the time. Stephanie Harvey, other officers in the squad known as Shift 5, are also implicated. Miles was the only black member of the squad. The messages cited contained racial and ethnic insults, homophobic comics, and crude remarks encouraging violence towards non-white people. There were also admiring references to right-wing extremists and demeaning, often vulgar statements about the Black Lives Matter movement. The University of Maryland releases a report outlining recommendations for improving policing at the school. University President Daryl Pine says the school will begin implementation of 21 of 23 recommendations made by a task force, areas including engaging mental health, personnel to serve as first respondents for wellness checks. Another recommendation being worked on establishes an equitable policy for security at campus. The university will also work to develop a student-centered approach to policing. The task force was made up of 30 members, including professors, students, police, and community members. Prince George's police are investigating a shooting death in District Heights. It happened just before 5 o'clock last night in the 6400 block of Pennsylvania Avenue. Investigators say an adult male was found unresponsive in a parking lot and was pronounced dead at the scene. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
COVID-19 is a severe lung infection. Trust the American Lung Association for science-based public health information, especially for the 36 million Americans who live with lung disease. We have launched the COVID-19 Action Initiative to end COVID-19 and address future respiratory virus pandemics. Access our free lung health resources and see how you can support our initiative.
Thanks for staying with us. The Maryland Senate and House give preliminary approval to family and medical leave bills. The Senate's bill is called the Time to Care Act of 2022. It would provide state workers with up to 12 weeks of paid time off to care for a new baby or sick loved one. The House version would establish a commission to study the issue. So far, 9 states have enacted paid family leave programs. Governor Larry Hogan gets into a friendly wager on the Terps NCAA tournament game tonight. Calling it a battle of the crab cakes, Hogan and Delaware Governor John Carney are getting into a March Madness food bet. The two governors are wagering crab cakes on the Terps versus Blue Hens matchup tonight. The University of Maryland's women's basketball team will take on the University of Delaware during round 1 of the NCAA tournament. As Maryland fans prepare to support the Terps in tonight's women's NCAA matchup, a Prince George's delegate has some close family ties to the opposing team. Delegate Daryl Barnes will watch as his sister, Natasha Adair, leads the University of Delaware's women's basketball team as their head coach. Adair has been coaching for more than 20 years. Adair, who is also a Maryland native, is in her 5th season as head coach of the Blue Hens. Let's get a quick check now on our 3-day weather forecast tonight. Mostly cloudy with a slight chance of showers. Saturday, partly sunny with a chance of thunderstorms. During the daytime, temperatures reaching a high near 77. Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 60. Monday, sunny with a high near 67. And that's your CTV News Update. I'm Taylor Thomas. Good night.